Welcome everybody to the kickoff or to Wyatt Zang's college football show. I almost said kickoff college football show. That's what it used to be called. It is officially called Wyatt Zang's college football show, and we are here for episode number 28. We are almost 30 episodes in, and we are officially in the off season. But I gotta say, we're in the off season, but the show is still jam packed. Still a lot to cover in the off season. Who would have thought that in the off season you could still have a show that is almost as jam-packed as, call me crazy, the middle of the season? I don't know. We're going to be talking about a lot today. We are going to be talking about a lot. We're going to be going over the SEC schedule preview. That is going to be a fun one. We're going to be previewing a few of some harder SEC schedules and some interesting SEC schedules. We're not going to go over every single SEC schedule, but we're going to do SEC today, and then we're going to go over the Big Ten next week, Big 12, ACC, and so on and so forth. And then we're going to be going over a Florida State program preview. Where is Florida State's program right now? What is the fan base feeling like? What changes need to happen for success in 2026? And where is Mike Norvell at in terms of having a successful season? Is he staying? What do they need to do for him to stay? We're also going to be hitting the biggest 2026 college football what-ifs. That is a series I'm going to be starting. We're going to be doing that probably every show for, a month or so, maybe longer. We'll see. And then we're going to be also hitting a Michigan program preview. That's going to be a fun one. We're going to do the same thing we're doing with Florida State. What is the expectation for Michigan? What is the expectation for Kyle Whittingham? And last but not least, we're going to hit a mailbag question. I asked for mailbag questions this week again. And if you want to have your question featured on the show, make sure you join the Discord. Links are in the description. If you join, each week I ask for mailbag questions, and I'll ask them on Twitter as well, but I've been asking them on Discord as well. So make sure you're following the Twitter at Wyatt Zang CFB and join the Discord with the link in the description. Those two ways you can have your question featured on the show. So we're going to be going over all of that. It's going to be a fun show. Make sure you're subscribed, make sure you like, and make sure you comment. Because again, your comments can also be featured on the show. And yeah, it is going to be a fun one. And also, if you're listening on podcast, because I post this on podcast as well, make sure you subscribe to the podcast as well. With all that being covered, we can go ahead and jump into a very soon to be interesting interesting segment we're about to do. It's going to be a fun one. It's going to be a fun one. SEC schedule preview. What are the most interesting SEC schedules this year? What are the most difficult SEC schedules, and what are the ones we're keeping our eye on? There's definitely a few. We're going to be hitting like 6 of them today, I think, which isn't even half the conference, but it was a lot to even do 6. So we're going to break down 6 teams. The first team I wanted to start with is a team you might know and heard of their tough schedule. It's Oklahoma. I'm staring at a schedule right now on this piece of paper. You can see a lot of highlighter. I am staring at a schedule that is rough. First off, John Mateer returns at quarterback for Oklahoma, so that is already a big thing for them. To get John Mateer back, it's going to be a big thing because you don't have to bring in a new quarterback to learn your system. You don't have to do any of that. John Mateer has been here. He was there last year. And I got to tell you, he was almost the Heisman favorite before he broke his hand against Auburn and had to sit out a few games. And he was never the same again since. So, their schedule. Let's break it down right now. You can see it on the screen here. If you're listening on podcast, I can, let you know here. They go to UTEP in week number 1. That is the first game of the season against UTEP. Again, there's not too much to break down there. Week 2. They go to Michigan. That is right after UTEP. They go to Michigan. Last year they had this game at home. This year they go to Michigan. Well, the question is, what is Michigan this season? We're going to get into a Michigan program preview here at the end of the show. But what is Michigan? What are they going to be under Kyle Whittingham? Are they going to contend this year? Or what's the expectation? Well, as I see it, that's still going to be a tough game either way. Bryce Underwood's coming back. It's going to be a tough one. So that one I have circled. That one I have highlighted, you could say. New Mexico in week 3. And then they have a murderer's row of 2 games. This is going to be the toughest 2-game stretch of their season. And I got to say, this is the best. I mean, Oklahoma, when you come to bye week luck, Oklahoma has what we call bye week luck. And here's why. Oklahoma plays Georgia. They play at Georgia 9/26. So that is what? September 26th? Yeah. September 26th, they go to Georgia. And then they go neutral site against Texas. That is 10/10, October 10th. So they have a bye week the week of 10/3. So that is huge. To get a bye week in between Georgia and Texas, your two toughest games of the year, is absolutely huge. And then they go Kentucky at home, Mississippi State at Mississippi State. They go South Carolina at home, at Florida. This is one I have circled because I think it's a sneaky road tough game. It's a sneaky tough road game. Here's why. They are Florida is a team that we don't really know what they're going to be this year. So we're going to figure out by, what is that, like week 9 they go play Florida. Week 8 they go play Florida. Or week 9. I think if week 9 they go play Florida. That we're gonna know what Florida is by week 9. They could be 6 wins by week 6 and 3. They could be 3 and 6. We don't know, but we will know then. So I have that circled as of right now. They go Ole Miss at home, Texas A&M at home. That is important to get those two games at home, and then they go to Missouri to end the year. So, with that schedule, what do we think Oklahoma's gonna be? I think that they could be a contender in the SEC. Maybe not for the SEC championship, but for a playoff spot in the SEC. What do I see their record as? As I see it right now, I have Oklahoma's record at 9-3. Again, that could subject to change. I don't know what, we're not sure how these portal players. You can see on the screen here, if you're listening on podcasts, you can't see, but you can see on the screen they brought in not the best recruiting class. I mean, their top guy was 61st. That is Amario Harris. He's an offensive lineman. They brought in a few wide receivers, Trell Harris, wide receiver, and Parker Livingstone. They brought in him from Texas. I think he's going to be a contributor. But there's really no, when you look at this, this portal class, you don't see any studs unlike Texas or like a Notre Dame or a Penn State. You don't see any studs in this portal class. But you do see just them saying, you know what, we like our guys that we have, so we're just going to backfill with a few guys just to plug in at certain spots because they don't need a ton, I guess. I mean, that's what's in their mind. So Oklahoma I see as 9-3. I think that there is potential for them to be a lot better. I think there's potential for 10-2. I just think if they can get by Michigan, that Georgia-Texas stretch, I don't think that they're going to be able to get through that without at least one loss. They could upset, but I think that's 2 losses there. And then I think the other loss comes between Florida, Ole Miss, and A&M. If they can somehow 8-4 is definitely in the play here. But I also think 9-3 is most likely for Oklahoma. Again, it's not set in stone, but that's how I see Oklahoma's season as of right now. But again, a lot can change between now and then. Next is a team we just talked about, and that is Florida. What is Florida's schedule this year? Well, it's not anything that's insane. It's not insane, but it is a tough schedule. I don't think it's as bad as Oklahoma, but it's probably second to Oklahoma. This is their schedule. If you're listening on podcast, you might want to listen up. They go FAU at home. They get Campbell at home. They go to Auburn. They get Ole Miss at home. Very important to get them at home. Go at Missouri. South Carolina at home. South Carolina's going to be a sneaky team this year. And then this is where the schedule makers of the SEC really just tossed a dagger right into Florida's chest, and they kept driving it in. Because not only did they give them Texas, they also gave them Georgia, and then they threw Oklahoma in there. All 3 at the same, no bye week. No, I don't think a bye week in between there. No, there is. There is a bye week between Texas and Georgia. Okay, so they lucked out there. They lucked out with the bye week in between Texas and Georgia, but still, this is insane. This is a really tough schedule, and that 3-game stretch does not help. And then to end the year, Vanderbilt and Florida State. So you have Missouri, who's going to be a tough game. We don't know what Auburn's going to be, so I'm not going to talk about them right now. But you have Missouri. You have Ole Miss at home. That's big. I think that could be a loss. You have Texas. You have Georgia. You have Oklahoma. Those are going to be tough. I think they could maybe pull out one of those wins. We'll see. But the biggest question that surrounds Florida is not their schedule. It is who are they getting at quarterback? Because looking at their quarterback roster right now, they have quarterback Aaron Philo, from the transfer portal. He transferred from Georgia Tech. He's the 157th ranked portal player. Not a phenomenal player by any means, but I think he'd be okay. I think he's going to be good enough to do what Florida needs him to do, hopefully. Quarterback Tramel Jones is also on the roster. Florida State fans will know him. He was a former quarterback committed to Florida State, decommitted from Florida State, committed to Florida. I don't know how that works. I don't know how you decommit from Florida State and go to the rival team, but nevertheless. So they have two quarterbacks. I assume that's a quarterback battle going on, but I also think that Aaron Philo is going to win the job. Tramel Jones is an athlete, but I think Aaron Philo with a little bit more experience is going to win the job. I'm pretty sure he's a junior, I want to say, and I think Tramel Jones is like a redshirt sophomore. So what are my expectations for Florida? I'm going to go 7-5 for Florida. And Florida fans might be like, there's two different sides to this. Florida fans, there's two different sides. There's two different kind of Florida fan reactions to this. Number one is, what in the 7-5? We just fired Billy Napier just to have a horrible season again. May I remind you, you guys went 4-8 last year, so that'd be 7 more games you could win. I would gladly take that in year one of a coach. And the second Florida fan reaction is, oh, wow, okay, we already upgraded by 3 games, brand new coach, things are looking up. And that's the side I'm on. I'm on the optimistic side of Florida because I think Florida can be back to Florida. Not like Tim Tebow Florida, but they can be back to solid Florida. And they can be back to 10 wins. They could be back there. Give John Summerall 2-3 years. Maybe 7 wins this year. Give him 8-9 wins next year. 10 wins a year after that. I think that he'll get Florida back. John Summerall will get Florida back. So I'm excited to see what he can do with Florida. So that's my Florida prediction. Next is actually LSU. LSU is a team that I'm excited about that I think can really be a player this year. I think LSU is the type of team that you look at and you see a big question mark. Now, some of the portal players they brought in are going to really help with that question mark. But before we get to the portal players, let's go over their schedule because after all, this is a schedule preview. All right. They have Clemson at home to start the year. That's a tough game to start. Week number 1, sorry. Week number 1 to start at Clemson is a tough game. They have Clemson at home this past year, but they have to go, or Clemson had a home game against LSU this past year, but they have to go to Clemson this year. Again, not going to be an easy game for them, but I think they'll be fine. And then they have LA Tech at home. They have Ole Miss away. That's going to be their first test. I think that they will survive that, though. Maybe. I don't know. We'll see. And then they have Texas A&M right after that. It's a home game, though. So that's a big, big thing to get that game at home. They have McNeese at home. They have Kentucky at home. Or they go to Kentucky, sorry. Mississippi State at home. Auburn away. And then their tough 3-game stretch starts. It seems like every SEC team has that tough 3-game stretch at this point. And the tough 3-game stretch is Alabama, Texas, and Tennessee, and 0 bye weeks in between there. They play 11-7 Alabama, 11-14 Texas, 11-21 Tennessee, and then they end the year with Clemson. Sorry, the slide kicked off. They end the year with Arkansas. So it's not an easy schedule by any means, but the good news is you get Alabama, Texas, and Texas A&M all at home. So if Death Valley's going to be humming this year, get it humming. Their quarterback is going to be Sam Leavitt. That's their projected quarterback this year. I do think that they will have success with Sam Leavitt. Again, LSU landed in the number 1 portal class. You're looking at their class on the screen right now. Sam Leavitt, number 1 player in the portal. Jordan Seaton, number 4 player in the portal, who actually recently committed. I think it'd be an interesting player there. Princewell, I don't even know how to say his last name. He's an edge, fifth overall player transfer from Ole Miss. Hussein Longstreet, 21st. They have the 1st, 4th, 5th, 21st, 25th, 40th, 55th, 59th, and 79th players in the portal. That is insane. That is number 1 class worthy. So with all that being said, what are my expectations for LSU going into 2026? And again, we'll do full record predictions for these teams like in the summer. Spring/summer, we'll mainly do summer. So this is not my prediction that's set in stone right now. Give me 9-3 for LSU. because there's just a few questions there. I mean, yes, they have Lane Kiffin, but there's just still a few questions I think need answered before I fully commit to a double-digit win season. There's a few questions I want answered. Hopefully in spring ball, we'll see. We'll see what happens in spring ball. But yeah, hopefully those can get answered. Next is Texas. Texas is an interesting team. We'll go over their schedule here right in a second. Texas is going to be one of those teams where it's like if you're good and you can get through this schedule, you're going to be a dangerous playoff team. Here's Texas's schedule. Pop it up on the screen here too as well. Texas State at home. Ohio State in week number 2, maybe the game of the year, at home. Getting Ohio State at home is insanely huge. They had them away last year and they lost 14-7. Getting them at home, I think Texas might honestly be favored in the game. I don't know. I mean, Texas, we'll go over the portal players they brought in a second. But yeah, Texas getting Ohio State at home is huge. UTSA at home, Tennessee away. They have to go to Tennessee. That's not an easy game by any means. Oklahoma, they get Oklahoma on the road. That one's neutral site. That's the Red River Shootout. Oh my gosh, I can't talk. Wow, Red River Shootout is Oklahoma. That's neutral site in, I think, Dallas is where they play that game. Yeah, Dallas. So it's going to be an interesting game there. Then they have Florida at home, Ole Miss at home, Miss State at home, Missouri away, LSU away, Arkansas at home, and Texas A&M away. No big schedule disadvantage for them. Most teams have like a tough 3-game stretch. You don't really see that with Texas. You don't see like, oh, that's going to be. You don't really see like, oh, those are the games they're going to be in trouble. And they only really highlighted one game, and that was Ohio State. So if you can manage this schedule, my record prediction for them is 11-1. I see a 12-0 here, but I'm just going to go 11-1 to be safe because I don't know what's going to happen in the Ohio State game. You could toss it up. I'm going to pick Ohio State to go 11-1 as well. That's probably going to be my record prediction for them because I just think it's so hard to go undefeated nowadays, for one. Indiana's the exception to the rule. But I do have to say, it's that Ohio State game is too much of a toss-up to pick a winner. And again, there's no skill in picking games, so I don't pick games. Most likely, I pick records. So I think that'll be interesting. And then portal players. Why don't we talk about their portal players? Arch Manning's coming back. That's their quarterback that's been there for a few years. He's coming back. Cam Coleman, bringing him in from the portal, the second overall portal player. Hollywood Smothers, that's the former NC State running back, 22nd ranked player in the portal. Was he the top-ranked running back, I think, in the portal as well? Bringing him in is absolutely huge for them. Huge. That 3-person combo is setting them up for success this year. I think that their opportunity to win a national championship is best this year. I think next year, when Manning goes to the NFL, Coleman's going to the NFL, Smothers goes to the NFL probably, I don't think that they're going to have as much talent on their team next year. I mean, Texas is always going to have talent, but I'm saying this is their year, I think, in my opinion, in my head, that I think that they're going to have the best chance to win. So give me Texas 11-1 for my record prediction. I think, like I said, there is a solid chance that this team goes undefeated, but I just don't know. There's going to be a Florida type game that runs you to the wire or maybe beats you. It's just too hard to go undefeated nowadays. It's too much. And I think Indiana might be the last undefeated team you'll see in a few years. I don't know. And again, I could be wrong. With Notre Dame's schedule, Notre Dame might go undefeated. I don't know. All right, 2 more here. Alabama's schedule preview. This one is an interesting one. It's not like anything that's insane. It's not an insane schedule by any means at all. But we'll go over it real quick. They go to they get East Carolina at home to start the season. They go to Kentucky to start conference play. Then they pause conference play, and they play Florida State. And that's at home. So FSU, again, is probably not as good as they were last year in terms of probably competing in that game. So I'm not saying Florida State can't win. Florida State can 100% have a chance to win that game. I mean, they happened last year. Do I think they're going to win? I don't think. I think Alabama's going to win. But again, there's definitely a solid chance that they could win. So that's a game, if I was Alabama, that I would have highlighted and say, take care of business. There's a song I think called like "Taking Care of Business." Take care of business that game, and you'll be fine. If you drop that game, there is no room for error because I could tell you why in a second. South Carolina at home, Mississippi State away. This is where they're probably going to slip up. Georgia at home, Tennessee at home, or Tennessee away, Texas A&M at home, LSU away. That is what there's no bye week between Georgia, Tennessee, A&M. There's a bye week between A&M and LSU. That is insane to have Georgia, Tennessee, A&M all with no bye weeks. 2 games at home at least. That's at least. But that's a tough schedule. It's a really tough 4-game schedule or 4-game stretch, and that's a really tough schedule overall. They end the year with at Vanderbilt versus Chattanooga, still that cupcake game before rivalry week, and then they have Auburn at home. I see my prediction for them is I see a solid like 9 to 10 wins. So I see 9 or 10. I think if they take care of business, if they can get stuff figured out, 10 wins, but I'm just going to say 9 to be safe. Bama fans are going to hate that, but that's my prediction. And I also see an 8 win. I do see 8 wins here. Like, I do see 8 wins. If they somehow drop a Georgia, an A&M, maybe LSU's really good this year, maybe South Carolina, Florida State, or Tennessee upsets them, I do see 8 wins, but I'm going to stick with 9. I think 9-3 is my prediction for them. And again, there's a lot of storylines around Alabama right now with Kalen DeBoer and what he needs to do to keep his job. I think people are just rushing to conclusions about him a little too fast. Like, I think that he can definitely be a good coach. And again, it comes down to, do you want to give him time? Is he going to have time to build that program? Because again, he's only been there for 2 years. This is going to be his 3rd year. And again, Alabama fans need to realize that Nick Saban style dominance is probably not coming back. All right. Lastly, we have the Georgia Bulldogs. This one's going to be a fun one. Their schedule, it's the reason I have them on here, it's not that big of a schedule disadvantage, to be completely honest with you. Looking at their schedule here, they have Tennessee State at home, Western Kentucky at home, Arkansas away, Oklahoma at home, Vanderbilt at home, at Alabama, Auburn at home, Florida at home, at Ole Miss, Missouri at home, South Carolina away, and Georgia Tech at home the end of the year. I have 0. I mean, you can see I have 0. This is their schedule right here. Or this is their schedule right here. I have 0 things highlighted on their schedule because I don't really see a slip-up place. I mean, at Alabama is going to be tough, obviously. Don't underestimate Florida. Maybe Ole Miss. But, like, I really don't see, like, Oklahoma. You can make an argument for Oklahoma coming into town. But I don't see, like, a overwhelming game that they're going to be not favored in. I think they're going to be favored in this entire schedule. So, no big schedule disadvantage. Gunnar Stockton returns at quarterback for Georgia, so you're not losing out offensively. It's tough to not think UGA won't be good. It's tough to not think Georgia won't be good. So with that being said, I think Georgia's going to go 11-1. That's my prediction. I think there is a losable game because, like I said, I don't think I'm going to predict anyone to go undefeated. I really don't think so. Except Notre Dame, because when you see their schedule, I'll show later, it's unreal. It's unreal. You get a schedule like this, and then you get Notre Dame's schedule, and you're like, how are they even playing the same sport? I know, it's crazy. Being independent for Notre Dame has really, they've gotten soft with the schedule. But yeah, that's my full SEC schedule previewing all the SEC schedules. And I just gotta say, there's some very interesting SEC games this year. Every week you're gonna have a massive week, because there's going to be good games every week. It's going to be one of those years where you could see explosion fireworks every single week, and I think you will. I think this is going to be a very competitive year in college football, especially in the SEC. With that being said, that is my entire SEC take. I do want to, before we move on to the next segment, I do want to talk about something real quick. So, as you can see on the screen, a lot of you guys are fans of college football teams, whether you are a Nebraska fan right behind me, whether you're a Michigan fan, LSU fan, whatever fan you are. You could be a Tulane fan. You could be a North Texas fan, a Troy fan. It doesn't matter. Whatever fan you are of whatever team, if you want to get merch for that team, because I assume you wear merch for that team that you wear. I mean, Florida State fan, a Michigan fan, you guys have a hat, a shirt, a whatever. Well, the season's coming up in 7 months, I think. It's going to go faster than you think. But in 7 months, the season is here. So why don't you load up with some team merch now? That is where Fanatics comes into place. I have a link in the description to shop at Fanatics. Now, that link takes you directly to their store. It's no scam. It's not going to like scam your email or anything. It takes you straight to Fanatics store. The only thing it does is if you buy something through that link, it just helps the show. So if you're going to buy a Michigan hoodie, just buy it through the link. If you're going to go on Fanatics and buy it, just buy through the link. The only thing it does, it doesn't cost you more to buy through there. It doesn't do anything else except for help the show. So, I mean, this is my Fanatics ad read right here. It just says Fanatics. So that it's a win-win situation because you get your merch and you also help the show. So you can't lose. Use the link in the description to shop Fanatics now. Like I said, it's not going to. It doesn't change the way that you shop. It doesn't change anything. Nothing about the store changes. It's just still the Fanatics, the same as it's always been. So I suggest you use the link in the description. It just helps the show. All right. With that being said, we got a lot more to get into, so why don't we waste no time and jump into it. We got a decent amount of people watching here live. Make sure you guys are subscribed. And with that being said, we could jump right into the rest of the show because we're already 30 minutes in and we've only done one segment. So, the next few segments we could probably, get them out pretty quick. Florida State program preview. Where is Florida State's program right now? What is the fan mood? What is the expectation? And where is Mike Norvell at? Well, before we get into anything, before we even touch the subject of expectations, I do want to announce, it's not really announcing because this happened earlier today. I think it actually happened last night. But Gus Malzahn, the Florida State offensive coordinator, should I say former Florida State offensive coordinator, the Florida State offensive coordinator, former Auburn head coach with Cam Newton. You guys know who he is. Used to coach UCF. You know who he is, especially if you're a Florida State fan. He has retired as of late last night, early this morning. He has retired officially. Today was his day where he was supposed to renew his contract. So his contract was up February 2nd, which is today. You can see it on the screen. It was today, or I guess you can't see it on the screen, but February 2nd was today. And he was supposed to renew his contract today. Well, as of yesterday, February 1st, late last night, he announced his retirement. So where is Florida State going to go from there? Mike Norvell has officially taken over play calling. I think that that's not the right decision. And I'll tell you why. Because yes, Mike Norvell called plays in 2023 when I think he called plays in 2023 when they went 13-1 or whatever, 13-0. But I just don't think that that's the right decision. Now, and the thing that I've been thinking about with Gus Malzahn being fired, I wonder why he waited till now to retire. He didn't get fired. He retired. So don't take that out of context. Gus Malzahn did not get fired. He retired. So I've been thinking about it. Why did he not retire earlier? Like I'm talking when the season ended, because I think what the rumor's been going around is that he knew he was going to retire. Florida State knew he was going to retire. That's why they hired a co-offensive coordinator. But I wonder why he didn't announce his retirement then. So then they maybe could have brought in a better offensive coordinator. I don't know. That's just something I've been thinking about for a while today. Well, let's go over the past 5 seasons of FSU real quick. 5-7 in 2021. So they were not amazing in 2021, but that was Mike Norvell's second year, I think. I think he's been there for 6 years. So this is his second year at FSU. 2022, he went 10-3. They won a bowl game against Oklahoma. I think that was the Cheez-It Bowl. And then 2023, 13-1, ACC champs, went to the Orange Bowl. Should have been in the playoffs, but they didn't get there. 2024, they went from up here to down here, 2-10. Not amazing, not what you want to see. 2025, that was the big year for them. 2025, what are we going to bounce back? 5-7. So what I'm looking at in front of me is on the sheet of paper. 2021 they were 5-7. 2025 they're 5-7. They've gone nowhere in 5 years, technically. If you really look at it, like you look at Miami. I hate to use Miami as an example because they're rivals. So if you're a Florida State fan, you're gonna hate that I'm using Miami as an example. But Miami was 5-7, first year with Mario Cristobal. 7-5, second year. 10-2, third year, and national championship runner-up this past year. According to Florida State, they should probably have a down year this upcoming year, but I don't think they're going to. So, they have gone nowhere in 5 years. Where is the program going to go from here? So, we've been up the mountain, and we fell back down, and we're right back where we started. Like, if you ever tried to go up a ladder, and then someone's coming down the ladder, so you have to, go back down the ladder. That's kind of where Florida State is. They went up the ladder, and now they're back down. And then they're going to wait a little bit and maybe go back up. I don't know. We'll see. But Mike Norvell's been the coach for 6 years. I would say 2026, it's going to be 7 years. And Mike Norvell hasn't done really too much at Florida State to warrant them. What am I thinking here? Like, he hasn't done too much at Florida State to warrant him being here for 7 years. But they didn't fire him. And the reason they didn't fire him is because of money. That's my guess. $54 million buyout. That's my guess why they didn't fire him. But they fired some people. They fired their old quarterback coach. That was a big one. Their quarterback coach wasn't developing quarterbacks, so Mike Norvell said, see ya. We're bringing in someone new. They also fired someone else. And the person that they fired is their corner coach, Pat Surtain. Pat Surtain Sr., I think. They fired him. You might be thinking, really, Pat Surtain? Like Pat Surtain, the corner that was in the NFL? Yeah, Pat Surtain. He was a phenomenal corners coach. I have no idea why they fired him. I have zero clue why Florida State would ever fire Pat Surtain. It doesn't make any sense to me. It really doesn't make any sense. Like, you have a guy that's developed DBs. DBs when one of their strong suits of their team literally has been DB. And you fire your position coach. That'd be like Florida State saying, Brian Hartline, sorry, we're firing you. What? Why? I've done so much for your program. I brought in so many good recruits. I've developed. Well, we just feel like it. It's kind of how that's kind of the vibe I got from that firing. It's like, well, we just kind of feel like it. We're just gonna fire you just cause. I don't know. They brought back their OC and DC, except for Gus Malzahn. He just recently retired, so they brought back their DC. Major quarterback issue. I have that highlighted. There's a lot of highlighter on this piece of paper, but that is one thing I have highlighted. Major quarterback, not issue, I guess you could say, but controversy. Because no one knows who's going to start, whether it's Ashton Daniels or Kevin Sperry. It seems to be Ashton Daniels. That seems to be the player that most people have put their money on. Not that anyone's betting this, but that's who I would put my money on is Ashton Daniels. But I think Kevin Sperry is actually the better option. I'm going to tell you why. And I'm going to tell you both. I'm actually going to give you two reasons why. One reason why I think Kevin Sperry is the better option. One reason why I think Ashton Daniels is the better option. Here's the Kevin Sperry part of it. Actually, let's go Ashton Daniels first. Here's the Ashton Daniels part of it. Ashton Daniels should be starting for this reason. Because he has a year under his belt of starting at Auburn. He also brings SEC experience to the ACC, which is actually the level of play kind of is down a little bit between the SEC and the ACC. So he comes from a better conference to a lower tier conference. So that is one reason. Reason number two is because he was at Auburn and played. Auburn's the rival of Alabama. He played Alabama very closely, lost 27-20. Well, if I'm looking at Florida State's schedule right, they play Alabama in week 3. So there is a major advantage with Ashton Daniels playing over Kevin Sperry because he has experience at playing Alabama. So if you want to get a win against Alabama, play Ashton Daniels. But if you want to play for the future, play Kevin Sperry. Kevin Sperry is, I think, a sophomore this upcoming, redshirt sophomore or something this upcoming year. Here's why you should play Kevin Sperry. Because he's going to be at the program for, I think, 3 years of eligibility left. he's going to be here for 3 years. So within those 3 years, you can develop him. You can get experience. You can develop. So that's the part that I think Kevin Sperry should play, because I think he has the potential. We already know what Ashton Daniels is. We know what he can be, and we know what he is. Kevin Sperry, we don't know. He has an unseen ceiling. We don't know. We don't know what his floor is. We don't know what his ceiling is. We don't know. He's an unknown. So he could come off week 1 and be horrible, or he could come off week 1 and be absolutely incredible, and you're off to races with your quarterback for the next 2-3 years. So that's the quarterback part of it. Now we need to address what's the issue at Florida State. What's the main issue? This isn't the main issue. We went over the main issue, but what's another issue? He hasn't brought in many big recruiting classes. I mean, when you look at the numbers, like, yes, he had the 14th ranked class in 2026, but no 5-stars. 0 5-stars. You might be thinking, well, that's fine. It's 14th recruiting class. Florida State, I think, should be getting 1 or 2 5-stars a year, because they're not like, all due respect to SMU and Nebraska. All due respect to them. And not Nebraska's a bad decision, but all due respect to the Arizona States of the world and the SMUs of the world. But Florida State is not at that level in terms of program prestige. They're not at that level. They should be able to get top tier recruits, at least a few every couple years. They haven't brought in 5-stars like ever. It's been a long time. Plus, when he gets talent, this is a big thing. When he gets the talent, he hasn't developed his players. He hasn't developed that talent. There's one thing to bring talent in, but if you can't develop it and push it and, show it on the field, then why even get the talent? So maybe that's Mike Norvell's mind. Well, I can't develop, so why even get the talent? I just hope that FSU makes the right decision in firing him, if it comes to that. If it comes to firing Mike Norvell, if that question comes up, if that's even a question, I just hope that they make the right decision. Now, you might be thinking, okay, well, that's just make the decision and, fire him. Like, if they're having bad season, fire him. Well, he's on a $50 million contract, $50 million plus. I just hope they don't keep him around too long. We've seen this with, this is an NFL comparison. We've seen it with Mike Tomlin at the Steelers. He was a guy that stuck around too long. We've seen it with, honestly, Sam Pittman at Arkansas. I think he stuck around a little too long. Just don't have him stick around longer than he needs to. If he goes 7-5 this year, 6-6, fire him. There's no hope there. Fire him. If he goes 9-3, okay, maybe keep him. But if he goes below that, I think you got to fire him. If he does get fired, though, and this is all hypothetical, I'm not necessarily rooting for him to get fired at all. No disrespect to Mike Norvell. I'm not rooting for him to get fired. But if he did get fired, I have found you the perfect replacement, FSU fans. I have found you the perfect replacement, and I'm going to tell you who that replacement would be. I'll tell you, I got to say, quick live chat check. All right, show's doing good right now. But who's that replacement? That replacement, before you start yelling, let me explain myself. Jimbo Fisher. A lot of Florida State fans that are listening are probably like, well, that was the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Like, you're probably going to click off the video in a second. Well, don't click off the video. Let me explain. I'm going to explain myself. The reason I said Jimbo Fisher is because Jimbo Fisher has been doing some ACC network stuff. He's been doing, some broadcasting. When people are around Jimbo Fisher, and I'm talking college football analysts and things like that, their stories of when Jimbo Fisher talks, they're just in awe. He's so knowledgeable. When you go listen, I've listened to some of his things. When you go listen to Jimbo Fisher talk, it's like you're just sitting there with your mouth wide open. You're just like, and that's not it's more like this. Like a surprised, if you're listening on a podcast, you can't see the face I made, but it's like a surprised with your mouth wide open. That is kind of how you're like, wow, how is this guy not a coach right now? How is he just floating around there and no one has picked him up? Well, here's the thing. That's a good thing for Florida State, because if they fire Mike Norvell, no one's in the market for Jimbo Fisher. So if Mike Norvell starts 1-3, fire him, And why not Mike Norvell or Jimbo Fisher and say, we're going to hire you? And, I mean, he's going to say yes because Jimbo Fisher, you might be thinking, well, he doesn't want to come back to Florida State. He actually does. He wants to get back into coaching, and he actually has been doing a lot of Florida State. He's been talking about Florida State, and he does want to come back to Florida State. You know, he does want to. And I think he'd be the perfect fit. I mean, he could be a guy that could come there for 10 years, get the program back to a national title contender. I really think that if Jimbo Fisher came back to Florida State, they could win a national championship. It's crazy to say that, but I actually think that. It's a hot take, but I do think that. I do think that Jimbo Fisher, if he went there at Florida State, I think he could turn that program around. I really do think so. It's just, in my mind, that's how I see it. You guys could think totally different, think that's the dumbest thing in the world, but in my mind, I think that that's the smart move for them, and that's my full FSU program preview. There's a lot of things that are going to be happening within the next couple months, and they're going to figure it out. Florida State fans, I'm just hoping Florida State figures it out. When it's time to fire Mike Norvell, fire him. If it's not time to fire him, don't fire him. Just make the right decision. All right, that was a lengthy segment. We're 41 minutes into the show. We got a few more things to cover real quick. Doing good pace on the show. Before we jump into the next segment, I did want to talk about something really quick here. So they're on Twitter. You can go on Twitter right now. Well, don't click off the show right now necessarily, but you can go on the Twitter. You can go on Twitter right now or go in the description and click on a Twitter link, and you can go to the Jay-Z College Football Predictor. You might be thinking, what is that? Well, that is a predictor that has been custom made, and you can, by Jason Zang, he has made a college football playoff or college football predictor. He predicts games, puts kind of like the odds for the games, scores for games. He also does, they have a player predictor, which is basically where they give you all kinds of stats about the player coming out of high school, what college he's going to go to, what's the percent of him going to that college, what's the top 3, stats about the player, and all kinds of stuff. It's pretty cool. I'm going to start using it in the show. I'm going to start using a lot of the statistics in the show. So it's kind of like a partnership where I'm going to use the stats and info on the show, because I got to tell you, when they first launched was the Ole Miss Miami game. That was the first game he ever put out the scores and predicted that game. He predicted it perfectly. He predicted 31-27 Miami to win, and that was the exact score. So suggest you go check it out. You can click the link in the description, or search Jay-Z Predictor on Twitter, but I suggest you might as well use the link in the description. It'll take you directly to it. So yeah, let's get to the next segment. Biggest 2026 what-ifs in college football. What are the biggest things in college football that you're just thinking, what if that happened? What if that happened? What if this happens? Well, yeah, I've been thinking that, and that's why I decided to do this segment, because there's a lot of what-ifs in college football. There's a lot of things that could happen that would make you think, wow, that could really, spice up the season a little bit. Throw some seasoning everywhere on the season. My first what if. What if Oregon finally breaks through? And you might be thinking, well, what does that mean? What if they finally break through? And I'm talking like a Big Ten title or a national championship. Like, they've won the Big Ten title 2 years ago, but I'm talking, what if Oregon finally wins a national championship? What if they finally get to the national championship? Well, then everything everyone ever said about Dan Lanning would be erased. All people would be deleting tweets, delete. Unless he lost, then they'd be freaking out again. But I think, of course, they lost their offensive and defensive coordinators. But I think that Oregon, with the talent they have, I have them ranked number 3 in my way too early top 10. I think that Oregon at with Dante Moore coming back and Dylan Reel at backup, not that matters, it's not going to be on the field at the same time, but I do think that Oregon is a big what if, because what if they do win a national championship? What if Oregon finally breaks through and wins a natty? The guy on the screen right there, Dan Lanning, it's Dante Moore on there now, but Dan Lanning, what if him and Dante Moore, the quarterback on the screen there, win a national championship, well, then everyone's philosophy about Oregon, everyone's vision on Oregon, or view on Oregon, is going to change drastically. Because people think at Oregon, when people look at Oregon, they think, oh, Dan Lanning, another James Franklin, can't win the big game. In the playoffs, he beat James Madison, no problem. Texas Tech, walk through. I mean, those were easy teams. Got to play Indiana and got dominated. You're thinking in your head, another James Franklin. Here we go. Copy, paste, copy, paste. I'm here to tell you, I don't think so. I actually don't think so. The reason I'm saying that is because I think Dan Lanning and Oregon have a good shot to win the national championship. And I think if they even get there, everything you thought about Oregon is changed. Because a lot of people have negative comments about Oregon. I think Oregon has the potential to, and if they do, people need to rethink what they think about Dan Lanning and Oregon. So that's a what if I have about Oregon. My next what if. What if Arch Manning delivers at Texas? And what I mean by deliver is Texas did not make the college football playoff in 2025. That's no shocker to you guys. That's already happened. I would say the most likely Arch Manning's final year. So this is probably it for Arch Manning in college football. What if Arch Manning delivers? What if he's good this year? And I just don't mean good. I mean, what if he's really good? Because you have, Texas hasn't won a title since 2005. Think about that. 2005 is when they beat USC. They have not won a title since. They haven't sniffed a title since. So what if Texas wins a national title this year? What if Arch Manning delivers? I think, and that plays into each other. Texas winning a title and Arch Manning delivering. They have Arch Manning. They have Cam Coleman, transfer from Auburn, sorry. And they have Hollywood Smothers, the transfer from NC State running back. This team, if they're not going to win, this is their year to win a national title. And if they don't, then it's going to be a reload probably. I mean, Texas is not a window team. Texas is not the type of team where it's all right, like an Ole Miss. Ole Miss was a window team. We got to build towards a year. Texas is going to be good every year. But this is their best team they're going to have in a while, I think. So, Texas, what if they win the national championship? And what if Arch Manning is good? I'm talking about what if Arch Manning is Heisman winner good? Big things coming from Texas, I think. I mean, look at Texas's schedule. We previewed it earlier. I mean, Texas has a good shot of being good this year. So, all right, two more. What if the SEC implodes? What do I mean by implode? Well, the SEC went to a 9-game conference schedule. That adds another tough game. What if, the bottom SEC teams are tougher than mid-tier ACC or Big Ten? Because, you take a Florida. A Florida's a lower-tier SEC team right now. A Florida and Auburn. I bet Florida and Auburn could beat an Illinois. So I think that them adding, I was all for a 9-game conference schedule for the SEC, but the more I look at it, the more I'm like, that's not the right decision. Whenever they brought it up again, I want to say 2 weeks ago, was it started to, come alive. I started to look at it and I'm like, don't do it. Don't do it because it just makes it bolstered. We did an SEC schedule preview earlier in the show. You can rewind, not right now, but you can rewind. When the show's over, you can go back and watch. I'll cut these up into individual videos. But what if the SEC implodes on itself? I'm talking, what if their best team, their champion, is 11-2? What if their best team's 10-2? And you have, maybe an undefeated Big Ten or a couple one-loss Big Ten teams. What if that happens? What if the SEC just totally implodes? I don't know. That's a tough conversation to have because number one, what if the SEC doesn't even get a first round bye? What if the conference winner is 11-2 and you have a bunch of one-loss Big Ten teams? What if the SEC's conference champion gets a 4 seed in the playoff, barely gets a first round bye? Number one, the SEC would go berserk. Number two, I think that'd be crazy if the SEC really just implodes. So that's one thing I'm keeping an eye out. I'm not necessarily saying it's going to happen, but it could. It could. What if Texas isn't as good as we think? What if Georgia isn't as good as we think? Just saying. It could happen. Last but not least, what if Notre Dame goes undefeated? You might be thinking, well, that's just basic. Well, what if Notre Dame goes undefeated? What if Notre Dame, with this schedule, I'll toss their schedule up here in a second, but people will go crazy if Notre Dame goes undefeated, especially if they get like a 1 seed in the playoff. Like if Notre Dame goes 12-0 and gets a 1 seed in the playoff, people will go nuts. I actually think I would be against it too. I am going to give you their schedule right now. And what you're about to see is the easiest Power 4 schedule you've probably ever seen in your life. There it is on the screen. If you're listening on podcast, I can tell you. They play Wisconsin at Wisconsin week 1. Probably a win. Michigan State at home. Purdue, at North Carolina. Stanford at home, at BYU. All wins. So at that point, they're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6-0. Probably 6-0. Then they play Miami at home. They play Miami at home. That is the first game that they will not be favored. Sorry, they have Navy too. They have Navy on the schedule as well. Navy and, did I miss another team? They have Navy on the Navy and Rice. Sorry, they could be 8-0 by the time they go to Miami. So they're 8-0 most likely. That Miami game will be the first game that they will not be favored by over a touchdown. The Miami game, I still think that they'll be favored by about 6 or 7 points. Don't take that out of context. I do think that that's the only competitive game they have, because after that they play Boston College at home, SMU at home, and at Syracuse. There's one game on the schedule that is actually losable, and they're still favored, and it's a home game. The USC rivalry is being replaced with BYU, which is just soft. I mean, I know USC doesn't want to do that rivalry anymore. The contract fell through. Just get a better team, man. Play a Clemson, play a LSU. I don't care. Play someone better. Play an SEC team. I don't care. Play something. BYU's not horrible. Play at Texas Tech. Go play Texas Tech. But no, we're going to play BYU. So they have, one losable game. One. It's insane. Whoever made this schedule needs to be drug tested. That is, Notre Dame got lucked out, so badly. So that's why, if people go crazy with Notre Dame going undefeated, that is why. It's not because of something that, they just went undefeated. That is why, because that is the most cupcake schedule. I mean, when you talk about strength of schedule, Notre Dame probably has 134th strength of schedule out of 134 teams. Maybe UMass has an easier schedule. I don't know. But yeah, that's my biggest college football what ifs. We got 4 of them. We'll probably do about 4 next show. It'll be a fun segment that we'll keep doing for a while. So yeah, that was my full college football what ifs for 2026 so far. Got a couple more coming. All right. We got Michigan program preview very quickly, and then we got a question about Notre Dame at the end of the show. Hopefully we can get out of here in 10 minutes. We'll see. It was a longer show than I anticipated because the SEC schedule preview went 30 minutes. I don't know where time went. Time's flying. It's already almost 8 o'clock Eastern time. Michigan program preview. What is Michigan going to be in 2026? What's their record? What's their schedule looking like? What are they going to be? What's the expectations for Michigan in 2026? Well, new head coach Kyle Whittingham. This is the Kyle Whittingham-led Michigan Wolverines. I am very excited to see what they can do with Kyle Whittingham at the helm. I really do think that this is going to be a perfect fit. This is the coach I wanted Michigan to get. Well, I'm trying to think whether I wanted Michigan to get him, but I wanted Kyle Whittingham to go to somewhere. It was between Michigan and, was it Florida State? I think I wanted Kyle Whittingham to go to. Florida State didn't fire their coach, so that never worked out. But Michigan, new head coach Kyle Whittingham. The mood at Michigan fans, what's your mood? The mood is hopeful. That's the word, hopeful mood. Because when you look at Michigan, they think, all right, there's been a lot of drama around Michigan the last 2 to 3 years, between the NCAA debacle with sign stealing, the Sharon Moore debacle. We're not going to get into that now, but you know what I'm talking about. Bryce Underwood is back. I I just think that Michigan fans are hopeful. They're hopeful that we can have a good season. And Michigan has one of the easiest schedules, or one of the, I said easiest, one of the hardest schedules in the Big Ten. Like, I think their strength of schedule number 2 in the Big Ten. Tough schedule. So that being said, I have their record prediction at 8-4. I do think it's going to be a lot tougher than people realize. Like I said, they got a lot of tough games. I think beside Ohio State, the toughest schedule in the Big Ten. Their toughest games. They play a lot of tough games this year. I'm going to read you their 5. These are 5 games I'm looking out for. Oklahoma at home, Penn State at home, Indiana at home, Oregon on the road, and Ohio State on the road. That's an insane schedule. So that is something I'm looking out for Michigan. Michigan fans, I think, are in the mood of, wow, we are hopeful. For the first time since Jim Harbaugh won the national championship in 2023, we're hopeful. And I'm glad, because Michigan deserves some hope. And I'm very excited to see what Kyle Whittingham can do as the head coach there. So for Michigan, your mood, in my opinion, I think is hopeful. So that's my full Michigan program preview for 2026. Again, it was a quick one, but I just wanted to get on here and share my thoughts. We're going to be doing this program preview series for probably a few months, maybe. I don't know. We'll see. You can comment down below if you like this series. But yeah, that's my Michigan program preview for 2026. I think Michigan fans are hopeful. If you're a Michigan fan, let me know in the comments if you're hopeful. And if not, let me know why. And we can talk about that in the comments. But yeah. All right, we got a viewer question, and then we'll be out of here. This is a fun viewer question. But yeah, show's going to be pushing about an hour. It's a fun show. It was a fun show, I have to admit. But it's not over yet. So don't go anywhere yet. It's not over quite yet. Decent viewership on the show tonight. All right. What is the question you might be asking? Well, we'll jump into that right now. All right. Viewer question from... pop it up on the screen. Might as well pop it on the screen. Johnny hit me up and said, do you think that Notre Dame should be part of any of the college football conferences, ? And if so, which conference do you think they would fit best with? Johnny, friend of the program, or friend of the show, by the way. He has been a very contributor to the mailbag. I think we've done answer 3 of his questions. So friend of the show, friend of the podcast is Johnny. He's been giving us a lot of questions. I'm going to give my take on this. I actually don't think that Notre Dame's going to join a conference. I don't see them joining a conference anytime soon. And that might sound, oh, that's, of course they're not going to join a conference because they're independent. But there's a why behind everything. The why I don't think they're going to join a conference is because they have it kind of how they like it. I mean, look at this schedule. This is a cake. It's a cake schedule. They have it how they like it. They're playing cake schedules. There's no conference championship week, own TV deal. Life's great up in South Bend. But if they were to join a conference, I would say if they were forced to join a conference, what conference would I pick them? Or what conference would I say that they should join? That conference is, drumroll please, the Big Ten. A lot of people were thinking, well, why the Big Ten? Why would you do the Big Ten? That is because at the question that he said, what I think. And I think the Big Ten. Because a lot of people say it's between the Big Ten and the ACC. The ACC right now is not getting any better. Clemson and Florida State are rumored to trying to leave the conference. Miami and Florida State. Sorry. Miami and Florida State are trying to leave the conference. I don't think that they're going to get Notre Dame. Number one, the ACC doesn't pay as much as the Big Ten. Notre Dame is such a big brand that to get them to move, to get them to not really get the amount of money they're getting, to get them to leave, and I guess revenue share, to get them to do that, it's going to be a lot harder than just say, hey, come join the ACC. We got Clemson. Well, where'd Florida State and Miami go? Don't worry about it. Just come join the ACC. They are an ACC team in basketball, I think, and in other sports, but I think in football, if they were to join a conference and not be independent, I would say they would join the Big Ten because they could play teams like Notre Dame, or they would not play Notre Dame. They are Notre Dame, but they would play teams like Penn State. That'd be a cool game. Michigan would be a cool game. Ohio State could be a regular game. Oregon, who doesn't want to see Notre Dame Oregon in the regular season? Notre Dame USC could be a conference game. gosh, what realignment can do? That's crazy that we could have. We're not too far from a USC Notre Dame conference game. Crazy what the sport can do. But yeah, it's my Notre Dame. Biggest questions about Notre Dame joining a conference. Yeah, that's the show. It was a fun show. Really enjoyed it. A few things here before we get out of here. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel plus the podcast. 2 things. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel and the podcast. Like the video, comment, join the Discord. You can talk to me anytime. And also, join or follow me on Twitter /X. I call it Twitter. Like, why can't we just go back to Twitter? Like, for real. Why can't it just, why did Elon Musk have to call it X? Just go back to Twitter, man. Friend of the show, Elon Musk, even though he's probably never watched it, but friend of the show, just go back to Twitter. Just please do us all a favor. Go back to Twitter. You can follow me at X at Wyatt Zang CFB. Make sure to use the link in the description to also shop Fanatics and get some cold gear and check out the Jay-Z Predictor. So yeah, that's the show. No more paper. That's it. Thank you guys so much for watching. We will see you guys back here same time Monday next week at 7 p.m. Eastern time. See you guys then. Have a great start to your week, and God bless.